Good day, everyone. All right, let me get the link shared out here, and we will get started. Bitcoin nearing 100K, and there's some ideas for pushing much higher. Been quite bullish over the last week. All right, get it shared out in the Discord, get it shared on Twitter. Give everyone a few minutes to get in here. I'm going to spend a little bit of time looking at Bitcoin. I'm going to keep an eye on XRP here, testing some major horizontal levels. Move some of these alerts. Just on an absolute tear. Some major highs up here. And the reality is there's not much structural resistance above these highs. We have this pivot high. I mean, anything can happen, but even if we're looking at all-time highs, I mean, this is going to be a major idea for a potential retracement. If we break out of this, these highs are coming quickly, and all-time highs really isn't far. And I know people think it's ridiculous to think XRP could go to $7, $8, but I probably lean towards it being quite likely at this point. I have quite a few longs running. About a week ago, I posted this in the public Discord. I posted a lot of long setups coming into this sort of this bullish consolidation around 65 cents, just demonstrating to people that I had longs from lower at 50 cents, but even though we've seen price rallying up here, there's still opportunities to get long, add to longs up and towards a move like this. And now a week later, we're up 100% from some of those entries. And the case is, or the reality is, there's still plenty of opportunities. It's got to be patient. And you are going to miss some opportunities as well with patience, but I just want to go here. You know, this is, think about this. This is back on the 14th. That's where these longs were. And I said in this Discord message, I spoke about XRP on livestream today. This is back on the 14th, and talked a lot about getting into trades late trend. In the members Discord, I've been on it much more. If any members were looking for ideas to get long and aren't long yet coming into the breakout idea, not my fault, I tried. Just basically saying, I think if you were looking for ideas for how to get long, down here is just into this really, trying to put on some risk into this really aggressive uptrend. And while this is holding, longing into this uptrend. And just from the breakout, an 85% move to the upside. So it's nice to be in these longs. We'll see what happens up at the highs here. Somebody says, I take XRP, nice, I'm euphoric. As far as Bitcoin goes, again, it's been quite bullish. I want to talk about some stops I took on some altcoin longs last week, a few days ago. Some are holding. I want to say as well, ADA is another long that I have from much lower. And I think there's, again, not a lot of structural resistance up until these highs at around $1.20, and we're breaking out here as well, so it's kind of interesting. Had some ideas of compounding longs in here as well. Ultimately, just rallying off this local GP after the first failed breakout. Peanut is a long I just took. This is the 30-second chart. I think the idea here quite simple for a try on longs, which is I do want to go over Bitcoin in order flow. I just want to kind of establish some of the things I'm going to be looking at. All right, so I just shared a little while back this is going to be too far. I guess I could turn off. Hold on a second. Let me go like this. The idea here was, again, back a week ago or so, just looking for this move down into this GP, taking these pivot lows. And as we approach those lows, you know, I had alert set. Just gave the update earlier, watching Peanut as we approach this level. So many updates. This is just me talking about ADA yesterday, potential breakout idea. But anyways, just looking for the lows to get taken here. I talked about this idea more. We got a nice reaction off the local GP, 1.2161, and I took a long there. So that was the plan. I executed the trade. It seems like a good place to consider putting on a bit of risk. Always managing that risk. Certainly could break down. I wouldn't be so surprised to see something like this and have the lows swept again. It's not uncommon, often an idea like this, but the idea of just taking these impulse lows, not really a clean channel, but a bit of a channel idea here forming. There's a nice idea on Moodang as well, which was coming in, taking this pivot low here on the daily chart, just sweeping this low. I shared that idea from higher as well, and just noting we have this big volume spike coming to the 786, kind of a retest of that region. I think there's still nice ideas for Moodang. Show some strength. Probably this is the primary level to watch for resistance. All right, but let's start with talking about Bitcoin a little bit here. So my thoughts on Bitcoin are, I kind of had a couple scenarios that I was looking for back when we started impulsing up into these new all-time highs, which was if there was signs of weakness, I would consider shorting, definitely interested in longing some deeper retracements. But if I got a choppy, grindy uptrend, I would just look to long aggressively into that uptrend if that came with big bullish divergences. And we're going to talk about some potential highs. I don't think the high's likely in, and I think there's some ideas for some impulses and retracements, but I don't think they actually have to come. I'm very open to price just going much higher than everybody assumes. Maybe we'll look at some of those Elliott wave ideas. But let me just talk a little bit about why I have viewed Bitcoin as bullish in this local consolidation. And I think it's been decisively bullish, like no reason to think it's bearish. So, you know, if I just review my thoughts on Bitcoin over the last week or so, as we've been consolidating here, it's really just been noting huge bullish divergences and these uptrends forming, right? Uptrends, again, saying that which update is this here? Just saying that although we could take these lows, I think it's worthwhile to long aggressively into this trend and tightening up that stop loss, like trading this tight, because really everything, like I said in here, and I'll go to this on the live chart in a second, but really everything into this grinding uptrend is a long for me with tight invalidation in terms of sizing, right? Like you're trying to take it, even though price coming down under this uptrend a little bit probably doesn't invalidate the longs, you're trying to take advantage of this bullish market structure that's forming with these massive bullish divergences. I mean, these are huge bullish divergences in order flow. Lots of aggressive selling getting absorbed. So, you know, just even 3 or 4 days ago, just looking for higher. Look at this these trending structures forming. I said I would think a test of the new all-time high would be coming soon. Personally, not looking for a failed breakout of these big bullish divs, but we will see. I'll consider getting on a live stream during price discovery, depending on the timing. So just saying here that I'm not really expecting a failed breakout, so like a sweep and a rejection, because these bullish divergences are so big. And just noting that even on the 1 minute chart, we just have all these trending structures holding. And I said I was asleep when all-time high was tested, but order flow still has bullish divergences. And we're going to look at what makes this order flow so bullish in a moment. I don't know why. I think maybe that's just the same one. This member just keeps he's a new member, just keeps spamming my post with shit emojis. I guess he doesn't like my analysis. But anyways, these uptrends just holding, right? And just noting big bullish divergences. Like even though we have a reaction, big bullish divergences, personally still looking for higher for now, while bullish divs and bullish market structure is still intact. No way to know what will happen with certainty, but probabilities lean towards higher in my view. 3 trending structures I'm watching, and then just saying, but if bullish divs holds, we really shouldn't take any of these lows because we're looking for that grinding bullish market structure. And then just saying as we test the highs again, nothing really bearish here as we retest range highs in scare quotes. Not a bunch of aggressive longs, some aggro selling, not shorting up here, willing to round trip longs. I still think higher is likely. Just saying, we're getting reactions up here, but I just think higher is likely out of this. Again, just big bullish divergences, some aggressive selling at the highs getting absorbed, and then just not the most surprising outcome. So then even into this, I said, you know, there's ideas of pumping up to 100K and getting a big correction, but I'm just going to be watching local price action for signs of weakness and strength. I do want to actually move an alert here for 1 second. Give me a moment. I want to see some potential local retracements on a couple things. All right. But yeah, I think in hindsight, this all looks quite simple and clear. And I actually want to talk a little bit about these really bullish structures during this live stream. But even just saying here, 150 million selling off here, a bit of a bullish divergence. Personally just gonna let this move progress and shake out a bit. As far as shorting goes, I'm more focused on taking profits on longs. But if I get something really crazy, like a big high delta move, 10 to 15% volatile impulse, and that's what I'll be talking about today, I might put on a bit of short risk. Not really committed to shorting, but if I get something like that, I will take a stab. And so just demonstrating like something like this, like a really big impulse up towards 110K, huge positive delta, big short squeeze, big longs opening, volatile reaction. I might look to take a quick, again, just using counter trade some of the long positions and using risk management. But I would need to see something pretty specific and maybe into this ascending structure, which we'll look at. I also noted that if I was going to take a long, this was yesterday, scalp and add more to my longs, I would just look for something like this, which is a pullback into this trending structure. And we'll look how clean these trending structures have been on all time frames. But not long after I went to sleep, we just got another impulse off this trending structure. I just said, I'm still just looking for higher. I mean, whether price comes down, maybe test this ascending channel again or just carries higher, just looking for higher. And, you know, I think these little whether scalping, swing trading in these trending environments, these retracements into the trending structures are like this, are in fact opportunities to put on a little bit of risk. I just want to say, one more thing. Let's go over to the Bitcoin chart here for a second. Here, give me one moment. What people want you to do oftentimes is they want you to talk about what you think price will do, or do you think we're going to go higher? Do you think we're going to go lower? But in environments like this, you really just need to pay attention to what is happening and do your best to assess it. We're in price discovery right now. There's no weakness. There's no reason to think, a deep retracement's coming any time. I mean, everything is bullish, right? Everything is bullish. We're going to look at order flow, but what I was looking for back here, this is almost 2 weeks ago, when we made this first high around 90K, is I just said, this is a fractal. I'll show where the fractal is coming from in a second. But if I got this choppy, grindy uptrend here, this yellow choppy uptrend with big bullish divergences, I said this. So I shared some ideas for deep retracements, the levels I'm watching. And then I said, alternatively, the situation I am not looking for any pullbacks is if this starts happening again. The reference is our 2020 run. If we keep getting this grindy market structure with bullish CVDs, that's bullish order flow, just going to long into it. Just going to keep longing into this. And this is the reference, right? This grindy, choppy, bullish market structure into impulses. You can look for some volatility, but you need to be open to just being long into all this, adding the longs into this aggressive uptrend. And when I started to see that that's what was forming, these are all the low. This is the low time frame updates channel, which I've been spending a lot of time in. I'm gonna just go to one more post, and then we're gonna go to the live charts. Where is that post? Okay, well, just noting the uptrends. Even this, just saying, so like this long into this trend line here, just saying, I will say I'm not ruling out a big liquidity run, and in some ways one is due, but because of these extreme bullish divs in the trend structure, I'm willing to try higher low local long setups, and that's just me adding to a long there. But where is, we're gonna review this. The reason I know some people don't like when I review price action, but the reason I am is because I'm just applying these concepts over and over again. And so these are the opportunities, the types of situations I'll continue to look for opportunities. Let me do this. And so we're going to do the recap. And then we are going to dive into the live charts. Well, where is, okay, I'm about to abandon this last point here. If I can't find this in 1 second. thing that's annoying me is I literally just saw it. And it's right here. It doesn't matter. What's it's in here? And the reason I've been doing all these updates in the low time frame is really, there's no high time frame structure here, right? So everything that's happening that's relevant is happening internally in the internal order flow. There's no high time frame structure to interact with. Let me go. Okay, well, I guess this. Oh, I mean, so all I was going to show here is just as this price action is progressing. This is when we're at 87K. Just saying, we have the big bullish divergences forming. It takes maybe a little bit of imagination, but looks like we're starting to form this grindy uptrend structure. So that's what I'm looking for. All right. So where I got stopped out of some of my ads on some alt longs because I was like, I mean, it seems pretty likely that we're going higher on Bitcoin. And so, you know, long into some of the bullish market structure on altcoins, but a lot of alts didn't follow. But so here we can just see this grindy structure forming and all this trending structure just holding so cleanly all the way up, right? Trending structure, lower time frame, trending structure, lower time frame, huge bullish divergences. And let's go over to, and just so you know, these bullish divergences have nothing to do with something like RSI. Other than they work differently. But what it's just indicating here is that there's been super aggressive selling into this consolidation. This is the 5-minute chart. This is the CBD line, super aggressive selling, all getting absorbed. Price just grinding higher and higher and higher and higher into aggressive selling. So the only way that happens, the reason that it shows up like this with a divergence between CBD going lower, price going higher, is if that limit selling is being absorbed by bigger traders putting on limit long. So there's two types of traders: aggressive selling, limit buying. The limit buyers are winning, holding up price. You can see these CBD spikes are formed with 41 million negative delta, 24 million delta. So if you add up all the cumulative delta here, you get net selling and price going higher, very bullish. Even here locally, still bullish divergences into this uptrend, right? Locally, bullish. And these bullish divergences are huge. They also formed all into this uptrend as well. Big bullish divergence locally, not as big as this one, into a grindy uptrend, continues higher. So something to look out for, you know, and there's no reason from the way I trade, the way I approach the market, not to be willing to add longs, put on some more risk locally, keep invalidation tight. And the invalidation is not about like, oh, if price breaks on this trend line, then we're going to 50K. It's just to say, take advantage of this bullish market structure, these bullish divs, to try to get some nice asymmetric reward on your risk. Not even holding one long, but maybe adding to longs tighter and tighter and tighter, adding to longs into this idea of an impulse. And the reality is we don't really know where the target is. We'll just look for signs of weakness, and that can come quick. It can be huge longs opening, getting trapped, and then price just liquidating all of them. But for now, everything's just still looking bullish for higher as we head towards 100K. And maybe beyond. So the idea I would be looking for a potential kind of shakeout would be, and again, my plan maybe not so much to short into this. Like a lot of people watching 100K, big psychological level, there are a lot of fib extensions here as well. Kind of a first major target for me for a potential pullback, and I'll show that from an Elliott wave perspective. But if I got something like this and a bunch of up into this parallel structure, huge delta, big volatile reaction, and I get another push up to the level, and another series of trap longs, I might try to short that down into the 85K region. If I get stopped out, a bit of a hedge, but I'm also going to take profits on longs if I see that. And if we carry higher, well, then I'll just look for more bullish mark. Oh, I'm on the wrong screen. I'll just look for more bullish market structure. So I would consider shorting something like this, putting on a bit of risk. Again, putting on some risk, running a stop loss. And if I get stopped out, then I get stopped out. But I'm, like I said, I'm not committed, but this looks quite bullish and impulsive. Like I don't even think it's likely we reject from 100K, maybe get a reaction there. I think it's likely we just carry higher. And I'm actually very open to carrying much higher than people expect. Just a matter of seeing what, I mean, I shouldn't even say I don't know what people expect, but I'm just open to whatever's happening. And so far, everything just looks bullish and huge aggressive selling getting absorbed. I think a lot of people just assume there's going to be some deep retracement, and there probably will be, but it might be after 150K. Yeah, so let's go here into here. Most bullish count. So did I put the, I don't think I ever finished my log scale parabola. Okay, so here is a really messy chart. Let's just hide this for a second. Let's get rid of some of this. And the reason this chart is so messy is because I charted it from much lower. And I really was just trying to imagine what the kind of parabolic move, when I flipped from primary thesis to bearish, if we held this as a lower high to bullish, I just started thinking to myself, well, if some of these bullish counts are in play and this isn't a bearish count, then what do those ideas actually look like in terms of targets? And it's one of the reasons I want to get on the live stream here is because we're approaching one of those major levels right now. And so let me go back here. So I'm just establishing context, okay? So I'm just establishing when my perspective shift changed from bearish primary thesis to bullish as we broke out of this 70K high. I started looking at something like this. So at first I just said, hey, here's the basic idea for like a parabola, but it's really based off of this type of Elliott wave count, just hypothetical extensions, retracements, and getting this really choppy, grindy, no deep pullback, impulse up into this 130K range. There's some ideas for internal wave 3, 4, 5, maybe ending around 160K. So it's all very speculative. Just, you know, again, this is back before we even broke out of the range. Marking out all of the key potential extensions here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into a subwave 3, 4 into a higher degree wave 5, which is a higher degree wave 5 idea. And so that's what we're going to be looking at here. Lots of extensions up around this 100K region. And then lots of important extensions at about 130K. So there's just 1-to-1 extensions, 1618 extensions, trend-based extensions. And I would think that if we get there, there's kind of two ideas I like. But I mean, one I really do like, and we could push a little higher and this be true, is to come in, finish this wave 3, get our wave 4 internally, maybe into this trend line. I mean, I still haven't changed this drawing since I drew it down here. And so this is a region I would start to look for a potential correction. And obviously, this is just a clean long setup. I mean, longing into some ascending structure. Internal wave 4 down at 85K, nice, clean, tight invalidation. For now, it makes sense to be long off this bullish move, see what happens here. But ultimately looking for something like this probably still is my primary thesis, but open to other things happening. And then a push up towards this 130K region. Hopefully we have some nice clean internals sorry, some parallel ascending structures. Just keeping an eye on what happens. If we break this down, well, hey, maybe some of this needs to be rethunk. And I like this idea because what we get is, you can kind of see how I have this drawn out here, is what we get is this kind of, we get the retracements, we get the big bullish impulses, we interact with some of this ascending structure, we get that kind of scary breakdown into some deeper ascending structure, deeper retracements, back into this kind of consolidation, and then we get another big impulse to the upside, and then we just get a really nasty correction. Again, this is just based on the Elliott wave idea. So, I mean, the idea would be here that's just, again, a parabola, huge FOMO, 150, 160K, and then we get the big ABC correction. And I know people are going to think it's ridiculous, but I would think 50K is certainly on the table out of something like this. But again, I also thought that there was nice ideas of rejecting into these lows from here, and I reserve the right just to, okay, we're breaking out of here, just to flip bullish, and I reserve the right to be looking for longs here, and I reserve the right to say, if this happens and everything's just super bullish, just to keep adding to longs and not taking profits. But you know, just we'll keep an eye on things and see what happens. So I think I talked about this on the last live stream, but the whole idea here is to be looking for, this is just super bullish, right? These types of ascending structures, this is back in 2020, so just no pullbacks, impulse, impulse. And if this is this, well, let's just pull this fractal. And you're going to see these everywhere. I mean, it's the same bullish, this bullish market structure is on ADA, it's on XRP, it was on XRP before this move up, just these really grindy bullish market structures before continuation. But if we pull this fractal, go to the bars pattern, it's not to say you're it's just to give the premise of the idea, right? It's not to say we're expecting the exact price action. If we pull this fractal, we'd just be looking for something like this. Maybe some reactions here, like come run back down to the 95K region, and then just more grinding, chopping, impulsive. And we just end up with the same thing here as here. And that's what I'll be looking for. And for example, if I take some profits on my longs, I might just be getting back long locally. Again, risking some of those profits with clean local invalidation to carry higher. But I don't really know if that's going to happen until we get there. And it's just, again, keeping an eye on order flow, keeping an eye on price action, and just being willing to lock in some profits if you get a reason to. And understanding that you can always get back long. I mean, me as a trader, I can always get back long. I'm always confident in my ability to just find nice setups and get into trades. Keep an eye on Doge as well. I have some alerts set. I was adding to longs into this uptrend as well. But yeah, so for example, like Doge is one of the only alts that I was trading the other day, along with the Bitcoin ascending bullish structure, that actually continued to impulse off this bullish structure. But a lot of alts didn't. And let me go back to ADA actually held up the low as well. It didn't hold up the local trending structure, but it held up the idea long here, and validation was just under this wick, and it held that up. But like, let's take a look at Litecoin. Sol here with a nice little tag of this low, another impulse to the upside. I am trading some OG coins. You could claim that's a trend line maybe. But so for example, I was longing into this uptrend with invalidation under this uptrend at the same time that I was longing into Bitcoin and Doge and ADA as well. Like I said, the trending structure didn't hold, but the actual low held. I think actually ADA was kind of simple here in some ways. Could have been simpler. But anyways, Litecoin just kept breaking down, now impulsing, testing some highs. But it's always a good reminder. The other long that I took was WIF. So on the log scale here, we had this ascending trend line structure. We had a 382 here. We had a tag of this low. And so I took a long in here, and we ended up just breaking this down, right? So it's kind of interesting just to note how weak a lot of alts have been. It's not so surprising given, look at the Bitcoin dominance market structure. Again, it's just this really grindy, bullish, impulsive looking structure. Where that ends, I don't know, but I mean, it looks like Bitcoin just wants to send like crazy until there's a weakness here. I mean, I know a lot of people are expecting alts to recover and be strong against Bitcoin, and I mean, obviously dominance can only go up so high, but this still just looks quite bullish. Like maybe if some of this trending structure, bullish structure starts breaking down, but it really does look like Bitcoin just wants to fly against alts still. Peanut still holding up on the retest here. Retest of these lows. This low. You know, I have a lot of positions running, and there's some kind of critical stuff happening here. So yeah, I might get a little distracted by some things that I want to keep an eye on. I have some profits off big positions, some full positions running. I'm not trying to get too greedy with profit taking, like XRP here, for example. I mean, targets are much higher, but even first initial profit targets were at 94 cents. Because again, I have multiple longs running from 50 cents, longed into this uptrend multiple times towards the breakout, just putting on more and more risk. And there were some ideas of taking profits into some of these highs, like this high at 94 cents. But again, there was no reason to. And I had that level marked, and I said, you know, if there's weakness here, I'll take profits and I'll just look to add back. But we really just ran through the level, more bullish market structure, and just kept impulsing. So again, same thing here. I mean, I'm open to taking profits here. I want to keep an eye on what's going on, but if this happens, why take profits, right? I mean, I said the bare minimum for me at 94 cents would be just to trail some profit taking as stop losses. But if we're just breaking out, holding the level, I'm just not going to be closing longs for no reason. Why, right? It's a huge 60R plus trade zone. $100K should be interesting from an order flow perspective. You'd think maybe nothing will happen here. Yeah, someone says be careful shorting XRP. I'm not planning on shorting, although there's really a good case for it when you have so many longs running, which is, this is something that's like not really intuitive to people, but let's say this is a major level here, right? And maybe you have some ideas of being a little wary of, I'm not at this point, see no reason to be, but we take this level, we have a big high volume rejection here, and being a little wary of something like this and potentially lower. Well, you have two options. You either take profits, this would be the 382 as well. You either, this would be, I mean, obviously an idea I would like to long, but you have two ideas here. You either take profits or you hedge short. So, or you do nothing. But the idea here would be, well, if I just take profits on my longs, and let's say I cut half my position on a rejection, but I don't want to cut my position at support, even locally. I want to cut it up at resistance where there's a failed breakout to actually capture more of those profits. I mean, like I said, this is a 50% move just here on the 1 hour chart. The benefit of hedging short, not closing my longs, is it basically says I get to keep my whole long position. I get a tight invalidation short set up. And so it's like taking 100% profits. I just hedge out my whole position short. And if this happens, then I just let the short run. I close the short. I've covered my entire long position, and I can just add back to my longs. Now, the benefit is this, we might get a big rejection, and maybe I even partial TP on my short, or I just remove the risk completely. And I just say, okay, you know what? If we come up back to these highs, I'll just get stopped out of my hedge, slight profits, break even, but I'm going to leave it running just to protect my long. And the benefit is you get your whole long position, it's covered, and sometimes it's can be kind of hard to find the re-entry, right? And this happens, and then this happens. Well, I'm just still long again, and I got stopped out of my hedge short, whether that's at slight profits, full loss, but it doesn't really matter. So in this case, it was better just to leave. In any of the bullish cases, if you have longs running, it's better to short than to take profits. It's better to hedge short because I want to leave my longs running. And then if I short and this just happens, I just get instantly stopped out. Well, I'm still better off on a big breakout here to have just taken a hedge short and have my whole long position running. And of course, people will say, well, why don't you not hedge short and you just let your long run and you don't even worry about taking profits? Well, it's easier said than done, right? When you have multiple long positions running from, and you've been holding through all of this, and you're coming up to you have a couple major levels here for potential retracements. You kind of want to you're wary about doing something. I don't want to round trip this. I don't want this to happen and me be like, what the fuck? Why didn't I do anything, right? So I don't put myself into those situations. I would either just hedge short at major resistance, get stopped out, let my whole long carry, or take profits on longs, still look to add back to that position, in multiple different scenarios. But so in this case, you'd be shorting not because you're bearish, you're shorting because you're bullish and you wanted to let your whole long position run and you don't want to take profits on it. But again, right now, really no reason. I mean, even a rejection here, probably even look more like this, but we'll see. So someone says book 50% profits. Okay, so let's just imagine. Let's just imagine you're risking 1% per trade, let's say. You have a $100 account. And right now, you're in this long. You're in this long. It's actually tighter than that, but you're in this long. And people would say, just take profits. That's the smart thing to do. Well, now there's two scenarios. This happens. Well, let's just say there's two scenarios, a deep retracement or no retracement. If I take a short at a key level and we get a deep retracement, I'm fully covered. If I take profits, the hedge is basically saying, I want my long to run because my targets are at $4, $5, $6, right? So I want, it's the same reason why when price is coming up here to these highs, and you know, if you followed along with my Doge trades at all, why I was adding to my longs in all of this on Doge. I'm not taking profits, I'm adding risk. I'm adding. Because I want, my targets are much higher. I mean, 42 cents at the time. And you could say, well, you should just take profits. I should if I have a reason to. But if I have a reason, no reason to take profits and I should only be adding, then taking profits isn't optimal in here. Like saying, because you could say, well, you know, you're up, you entered at 9 cents and price is up 75%, just take profits, right? Why short? But this is where I added, by the way. And I added a lot in here. But anyways, the whole point is with XRP, now what happens? Did I make the right decision? If we get a rejection up here, this happens, maybe we get a little chop, and then price goes straight up like this, I should have hedged. I could have almost accomplished the same result of being worried about the reaction, worried about the rejection here. I could just be in this trade for a small section of the chart, willing to hedge out at key resistance. And I've basically cost myself. So if this is a $100 account, let's just say, you know, it's a $100 account and I'm running at $180 of profits on these positions, let's say. $180 of profits on these positions with a $100 account. This position could cost me like $5, right? It could cost me maybe $8 out of my $180 of profits if it gets stopped out. But it doesn't, if price carries on, it's completely hedged with my longs too, right? So, and then if this happens, the big breakout happens, taking profits here against my high time frame thesis because of a little reaction now has cost me, instead of it costing me $5, it's cost me $900 of profits on a big continued impulse. So just something to think about the ideas of hedging. There might be no reason to hedge or take profits here. We could just go straight up. But just something to think about, right? Hedging is a tool to manage your positions. I don't want to close, but I might want to hedge. I don't only, someone's saying, why do you only trade crypto? I don't only trade crypto. Give me 1 second, I'll be right back. I just turned on the AC, hopefully it's not too loud. All right, Bitcoin coming up to test these highs. Let's see what happens here. Keep an eye on order flow. Again, I mean, no reason to be bearish on Bitcoin into this uptrend. It, frankly, so it's like, one of the benefits of looking at order flow is you could say to yourself, I've seen, I'm not saying I'm always right, by the way. I mean, I've gotten offside, and even I look at some of the order flow in different situations. In hindsight, I'm like, yeah, I probably could have gotten on the right side of this quicker. But there's a case like this where the order flow is so bullish. Like, if you understand what's happening here, I've seen lots of people saying like, FOMO longs are going to get wiped out, or this looks like a total fake out. I'm not calling anyone out, by the way. I'm not saying that, you know, I'm always right and obviously this was bullish, but it's so obviously bullish because order flow is telling you that it's not FOMO longs. Everybody, any aggressive trader here is aggressively selling into this. Like everybody, and why would you aggressively sell? Aggressively short? We have increasing open interest. We have massive decrease in CVD across this range. It's one of the biggest bullish divergences we've actually seen at all-time highs at 90K. And so why, you could say like, oh, everyone's going to be FOMO longing. And I might have even said, if you asked me down here, what do you think is going to happen at 90K, 95K? I would have said probably, and we're ranging at 90K for a week. I would have said probably a lot of FOMO longs, you know, lots of longs coming in and getting trapped, and then we probably wiped them out. Maybe they're expecting 100K or $1 million. But I would be guessing that's what I'd expect to see. What am I actually seeing? I'm seeing the opposite. I'm seeing massive aggressive selling, getting absorbed. Why do you sell? Why do you sell aggressively? When you go into your, many of you probably did, went and sold your Bitcoin, right? I mean, this is telling me that the vast majority of the market, because there's so much selling here, is sidelined or short when we're talking about aggressive traders. And most of you guys, you're using market orders, you're using market stops, you're trading like an aggressive trader, right? Market buying, market selling. So these traders have just been selling like hell into this. So people aren't FOMO longing and it's getting absorbed. So I'm not expecting, oh, all these FOMO longs are gonna get trapped and a big wipeout to the downside here, because it's not FOMO longing. It's FOMO selling. It's no way price can go higher, selling, getting absorbed in a bullish uptrend. So just that's the benefit of order flow in this context, is it's just so and now in hindsight, like the reason I pointed out earlier in the Discord when I was saying you maybe have to use your imagination a little bit, is that now this is so obviously bullish. Like, I mean, anyone can look at this and be like, oh yeah, look at this. Literally just grinding straight up into a huge impulse. And then when you add the context of the big bullish order flow here, like I said, you can use your imagination pretty early here and say, okay, we're probably getting the big grindy uptrend scenario. Like I posted that much earlier. And that's where I just want to start longing aggressively into the grindy uptrend scenario. And now it's like, oh yeah, this is clearly what we had going on. And if you followed my XRP trades here, same thing, right? Just here's this big grinding, perfect trending structure up into resistance. Yes, price has already gone up a lot since the lows, but there's opportunities for tight invalidation. Keep longing, because I'm not telling you to keep longing. I'm saying I'm going to keep longing, adding to longs, because this is just this choppy bullish trending structure before another impulse. And that's what's happening here. So we'll see. We're making a new high now, about to hit the all-important 100K. And like I said, I'm not really committed to shorting this. This isn't the first time I've been live during an all-time high. And one of the times I did short, and one of the times I didn't, and we got major reaction. So I was live here, or no, sorry, here, and I shorted this first test of an all-time high, and we just ran straight down. But we had a big reaction on another time I was live, and I didn't short. We spent about 15 seconds up at the new all-time high, just hundreds of millions of delta coming in, and then just instant rejected, and I missed the short, and I just took profits on my longs. So anyways, here I'm open to it, but if I get something really clean that I feel like I can execute, I'll try, but probably not, but definitely open to taking profits if I see something bearish. So let's look at what's going on in order flow. By the way, if you're not a professional trader, you shouldn't be trading with live funds at all. I think my Discord's a great place to learn the skills that you need to navigate the markets with proper risk management and understand what you're doing and whatever, but you need to understand how to manage your risk and size correctly, and the idea is you're trading. But this is a unique moment. 100K price discovery, nothing too crazy here relatively. 20 million, 44 million, just for context, for sizing. Bigger delta candles, not that those are insignificant and can't cause some local reactions, but this kind of 110 million, 120 million is some bigger delta. If we start saying 200, 300, 400 million, well then it's like, I think we might see a massive short squeeze here, to be honest. I think there actually might be, one thing I've been surprised by is how few shorts, even since we broke out of 70K, have been stopping out. There's been some, but I would have expected a lot more. And so part of me thinks that maybe there's a lot of shorts just sitting short, thinking, all right, I'm going to get out of this 1x short. They're 1x short. They're just head short, 1x short. When we come back into the range, or get out break even, and we might just see a huge short squeeze, 140K, as all these lightly leveraged shorts just get obliterated. Well, you have to be leveraged to short, even if you're 0.5, right? Like you just see price go up 100% straight up. You just are like, oh fuck, I'm gonna lose everything. You just gotta short close it. So, and then we have more shorts piling in here. So, one of the reasons I don't want to be too, anything can happen here. You're not gonna get too bullish at 100K, but I'm not gonna be surprised just to see a ripping short squeeze that's like, and there were way more shorts piled up because there haven't been that many shorts closing relative to what price is doing. And these big short squeeze candles can come like crazy quickly. I know people are asking me for like requests, like Moodang, but I'm just gonna do what I'm doing, right? Because I have trades that I'm trying to manage, and I'm getting live here because this is an interesting moment. But I'm just gonna look at what I'm looking at. Sorry. Nice move off Peanut though. I talked about Moodang earlier. We're at the 786. We're around support. Bullish dibs on BTC USD here as well. Not as big, but still relevant. Somebody is asking, can you explain why Bybit shorts are piling up since like 70K on Bybit order flow? Well, no, I can't explain why. I mean, it's as simple as people are shorting, right? People are selling. There's aggressive selling, risk coming into the market. People are also longing, right? Limit longs are coming in, but why there's been so much aggressive selling here. I mean, I can speculate that people are just like, oh, price has to go down. Aggressive shorting, price has to go down. They're bearish. And a lot of times people aren't bearish in the sense that they maybe think we're going to 50K. They're just like, there's no way price just keeps going up. Like, I'm safe to short here. And the reason that people can get really wrecked in a big liquidate, because a lot of people aren't saying, okay, well, I'm short here, this trend line, and if we break up out of this or we hold this bullish market structure, I'll just cut my trade at a 1% loss. Like, that's more like how I trade, right? But a lot of people will just say, I'm safe, like I can 2x short here. There's no way that we go up to 150K or 140K. I can 2.5x, I can 3x short, because we'll get a retracement before then, and then they'll literally lose everything. And they're watching price go up right now, and they'll say, you know what, we're at 100K. It's like there's no way we're going to go to 130K, 140K without retracement, but I will get out at break even. And that's how people are trading. So then you just see all these people get wrecked. A lot of people have a hard time, like there's too much emphasis on that magical word conviction in trading. You should have a lot of, so for example, it doesn't take a lot of conviction for me to be longing aggressively into this grinding uptrend. I have conviction that this is bullish absorption, this is a strong uptrend, and there's really nice risk reward to just say, well, I can invalidate some tight setups if this local grinding uptrend breaks, but I don't have conviction in the sense that if it breaks down and price just starts going to 70K, 50K, I'm going to just lose everything because I had a conviction in a local trend line. I just have conviction that's a EV positive decision in trading. It's reasonable for me to be longing aggressively into this aggressive uptrend, and then I can just switch my bias immediately and cut the loss small if it doesn't hold. Bro, we're at 100K right now. So someone just said, where is the next dip you looking for if we get it before 100K? I mean, price is literally at 100K. It's 99,500. It's not even something I'm thinking about, right? I'm not thinking about it. I'm not thinking like, if we reject here, I'm looking for this dip here. Like, I'm not even thinking about it. I'm just seeing what's happening here. And you know, people, one of the things that people do, it's kind of hard to explain. They ask questions. I'm not talking about your question. I think I understand. You're just kind of saying like, hey, is there any chance to get long with tight invalidation, like a little dip to 98.8 or whatever it is, right? I mean, I'm sure there's ways to structure trades here, but for me, I'm just managing positions I'm already in that, it's a kind of a critical moment. But anyways, what people do is they ask questions that there's just no answer to. Like they'll say, how high can we go, and where would I buy on what would be the next deep retracement? And I could say like, well, I don't know how high we can go. I know everything's really bullish. I wouldn't be surprised to see higher. We're in price discovery. This is really, but there's some ideas of fib extensions up here. But let's just see what happens. And if we reject, I mean, these pivot lows are going to be a major target, whether we reject from 130K, 100K, 110K, and they may also never come. And so those are the major levels, but just because those are my major levels, all this higher time frame trending structure, I'm also have no reason to even think that this is coming anytime soon, as of now. And it's just it's kind of I guess what the question sort of, what happens is, I don't know how to explain it. Like I'm not blaming the questions that are like this. I'm not blaming your question either. But it's just, it takes a lot of time to prepare and plan and execute trades is what I'm saying. So like I spend all this, and I still lose trades. I still miss opportunities to add to trades that I'm bullish on. But so I spend all this work, effort, and energy planning my trades. Like this peanut trade, we're getting a nice reaction here. I've been waiting for a week for this, updating as price came closer, updating them, executing it, and so think about this. I'm waiting for a week, or I'm building this thesis. I'm adding to longs, just like the XRP trade, and now I'm still looking for opportunities, but I'm putting a lot of work into my trades, and I'm updating them, what I'm doing, and then like somebody will just ask me, where can I long now? Okay, I'm not in any longs. What's the next long, please? It's like, well, now you're asking me to put in all that work, all that effort, all that I do to prepare my own trades, to then just make a trade for you now because you're not in a trade, like as if it's just so easy for me. If I like, anyways, I'm not getting too frustrated. It's not frustrated like the person at the person. It's frustrated at the lack of understanding of what I'm doing to get into my trades. So like people will just say like, oh, can you look at this and see where I can take a long? It's like, I guess, but I mean, I can't really without doing a ton of work to do it. And then I have to, like, a lot of my longs or trades are going to be contingent on certain things happening. It's why I do everything I do in the Discord. It's like, see how much work goes into it, and patience and execution. And then people kind of just, they think it's a simple question, but if it was that simple, then I wouldn't work so hard on my trading, right? As if I can just magically tell them when to long. Like, I mean, the last long that I said would be interesting was literally into something like this wick, right? Like I said, as far as scalp longs, to try even more continuation ideas, it would be something like that. And there might be some situations here that could be scalp longable, but so you have to understand that for me, let me go here. Gotta keep an eye on things here. A little local wipe, slight front run number 100K. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see some volatility here. But you have to understand that for me, so something like this, like as far as, I'm even offering this up in the Discord, like in terms of adding to longs, this is yesterday, with some potential scalp setups, I personally need to see retracement. It's not really interested in opening new longs up here, just waiting for price to go up or down, something like that. And that's, we ended up getting that. But I think what I would understand if I were you is that my priority right now is, when I've been adding to longs, is not to like help people add to longs, because that requires me to put in a ton of work that I need to spend that time and energy on the trades that I'm taking, right? So yeah, I don't know how to, hopefully that all makes sense. I don't want to rant too much about it, but it's just, it takes a lot of time, effort, and energy for me to plan out, execute, update, manage all of my trades. And it's not so easy for me to just be like, oh, here's 50 other people that want you to manage and update and evaluate all their trades too. It's like, okay, well, I just did 50 trades, and I'm more kind of concerned about executing and managing my ideas and updating them. I mean, I'm just in so many deep trades right now. So, and I'm still adding. I mean, I'm taking new longs today. I'm trading new setups, but it's just not so. Maybe I'm feeling a little bit of that deep unrealized stress. I'm so I appreciate these questions. I appreciate these questions. And I'm just going to say this, like, so the question is, what do you look for mainly on low time frame PA that shows weakness or significant signs to open a head short that are good confluences with typical resistance and channels and fibs? I mean, I literally spend so much time in the Discord explaining exactly what I look for. I have, hundreds of hours of educational content, and I have hundreds of live streams. I have all these videos explaining all these different concepts. I do all these educational slides breaking down all these concepts. I update all of my trades live. And the point is, this is how I explain what I would look for. And so so there's no shortcut that I know of to all of these things. And this is why I have all of this content. This is why I do all the updates. I write long threads on all my trades and all these things. But then, so it's hard for me just to say like people kind of want one-off sort of like, what do you look for in a trade? Like, and how do you manage your trades? And where do you put your entries and stuff? It's like, well, I can't really even answer that question, right? I can't answer it in a sentence. And I can't really, I don't really want to do like one-on-one complete educational detours. If you're interested in this stuff, come learn it in the Discord, because there's no easy answer. I can't answer in a sentence. I look for a lot of things. Someone says, can I join you as a complete beginner? There are lots of complete beginners in the Discord, lots of testimonies of people brand new to trading, and I think it's really conducive to experienced traders, brand new traders. I mean, I would say, generally speaking, like, you're going through the educational content, going through the updates, is pretty beginner friendly. It is very focused on understanding the skills, understanding the concepts. So, for example, I mean, it's pretty common I get some nice thoughts in the Discord, but someone yesterday said to somebody else asking, "Hi fam, I'm new here and thinking of joining Lucky Premium channel." Someone he joined, it looks like, give their thoughts and honest opinions around trade setups, and more mostly, is the value you get in terms of learning is adaptable for beginners to grow. So it's just somebody answering this question. And a member responded, one second here. A member responded, "I'm stupidly new, done everything wrong more times than I'd care to admit. I'm a slow learner, and I learn best by reading and experimenting. And while Lucky is a video guy with a great radio voice, I might add, all the written material, the charts, and the descriptions, as well as slides, are phenomenal. First month already paid off. A year membership will be next." And then there's just tons of members' testimonials. So, just the reality is, these are great places to read people's experiences. There's a couple tweets in here where I ask members to just share their experiences, and obviously I can't delete responses to tweets. Wherever I put the link to those tweets, I'm not sure. Maybe I didn't even put them in here. But you can read. There's all types of experiences. And I think that's the best. I think that's the best approach to understand what is on offer in the Discord and what people's experiences are, rather than me telling you. I know a lot of people are, I personally think it's a great environment. It's a great place to come in as a beginner. But one of the reasons I'm confident in that is I've heard as much from many people. So there's also, you'll see testimonies of people who have been trading for a decade, 10 years, been in crypto for 7-8 years, and they'll see people saying they've been in dozens of paid groups, and there's nothing else like what I'm doing. So that's their opinion. Well, yeah, and I'm not actually talking about members specifically too. It's common on Discord, on Twitter. I'll get questions. Like, questions will be like, hey, what do you think of this? Do you think we could go here? Is this a good support? Blah blah. And it'll be a chart on some altcoin or something. And I get a lot of questions like that. I mean, I could go through. I won't go through DMs, obviously, but a lot of people DM. I think people are embarrassed to ask questions and share charts or in public, right? So they DM me. But anyways, I don't respond to them because I can't. I just made the point that if I spent 5 minutes a day with every member responding to their questions, I'd have to work 200 hours a day. And I can't do that. So I explain and update what I'm doing. I do it in a way that is kind of scalable. But then I'll get comments on Twitter where people will be like, by the way, he never answers your questions on Twitter. He'll respond, I'll respond like, LOL, I get comments. Like, I'll respond to like a hater comment, for example. Like somebody saying, what about the short you lost 3 weeks ago? Or you were bearish, at 70K, and then you only flipped bullish when we broke out of 70K. And I'll respond to something like that, and then I'll get responses like, he only responds to haters. He won't reply to any of our DMs or our messages. And it's like, dude, I don't owe you anything. Like, I'm busy. It's way easier for me to be like, LOL, this guy, than to come analyze your charts and help you try to manage your trade. Okay? I don't want to do that. I mean, I wake up every day with literally unlimited work to do. I run at max capacity, and there's just this bizarre thing where, like, I don't know. Like, there's so many things that you guys don't see too, but like, there's different types of members that come through. But like, not so long ago, I'm gonna kind of change the wording a little bit. I'm not trying to put anyone on blast, but like, you'll have a member join, and they'll come in and they'll be like, hey, should I be opening longs new here? Is now a good time to long, whatever? And maybe some members will suggest they go through the educational content. And then they'll share a chart, right? They'll share one chart, and they'll say, hey, is this trade setup look good? And they might tag me. I'm by the way, if you're in the Discord, I'm not talking about the guy today. And then they'll write, is there any point in this Discord? Who's going to review my trades? And then they're gone. Like, they never send another message. And it's like, dude, your expectations here are crazy. Like, there is so much for you to do. You have endless live market updates of trades, structured, printing, everything happening in here every single day. And like, these are like low time frame updates, high time frame updates. You have all this endless content. And 2 days in, you're DMing me and asking me to do special like content for you. Like, hey, I want this chart. I want you to analyze this. It's like, no, you haven't done anything yet. And you've posted one chart in 3 weeks. And you're not undervaluing my time. You're not understanding my time. I'm not gonna come look at all your charts. You have to do some work here. And there's no way you've gone through all of this. And all of that I'm already providing, right? So I got to rant a little bit because it's like, there's an opportunity there, but you've got to seize it. And your problem is not that I'm not doing enough for you. I don't really know what's going on, but I don't think there's any in the comments. I'm not sure what someone's saying and someone else is saying, but yeah, I don't know. I guess I have 120 viewers here. Most live streams end up with like 1.5 to 2K viewers, maybe. But the problem is, like, a lot of people also want trades on live streams, right? They're like, hey, enough rambling, enough talking about this idea you're interested in or that idea you're interested, like try long this, short this. But it's like 90% of my time it's just been planning and waiting. Sometimes I think I'm going to be taking a trade. Like, it's like you get an alert, you're setting up to take a trade, and then the level gets front run, or you don't like what you're seeing. It's like, okay, well, I'm not taking this trade. And understanding, it's so much more valuable to understand how to structure, identify, and execute trades and manage them than it is to be given a trade setup. Because if you don't understand all the other things about trading, it's just like, it's kind of pointless, and the trade just might not work. You want to develop skills and understand the premise of ideas. So yeah, I know these live streams can be a little rambly, but I mean, I'm getting live at all-time highs here. I've had longs compounding. I'm interested to see what happens. Maybe can explain some of that. Yeah, definitely a little stressed. Not very much sleep. But I think one thing that, you know, kind of happens is I'm getting less and less patient with certain things that I'm seeing, because I've been doing this for a long time in the, obviously trading, and then in the Discord years, and you have the same conversations so many times, and you just tell someone, like, here's what you have to do. You have to understand that you are brand new here, and you've been here for one day, and I understand you're excited, you're looking for trades, you're like, I don't understand, should I long this, should I, you know, is it time to long, even though like, for example, there's no knock on this, right? So it's like, it's super. For example, somebody today in the Discord asked me, they said, why do you have the red box like that? And that question is perfectly fine for a beginner to ask. But I said, I don't understand the question, right? What are you asking? Like, why is my invalidation here? Are you asking what the tool is? And what they were asking was, what does this mean? What is the red box? What's the green box? So it's like, this is obviously a beginner. So it's like, oh, this So I sent a screenshot of the tool where you get it in TradingView, saying it's representing your entry, your invalidation. That's a beginner's question, and I have no problem answering that. But a lot of times people's questions, you basically have to say, like, listen, you're not going to, like, that member not asking a bad question, they're not going to understand a lot of what's going on, right? Like, even there's people who probably don't understand if I say I'm long now, I'm longing here, like, what's long, right? That would be like the extreme beginner's side of the spectrum. You're not going to understand everything on day one probably, but there's a lot of content here that you can go through. You can watch videos on all the specific content or ideas. And then I live update pretty much every single day, live trade setups and ideas that and explain and break down those trades. And so you're here day one, day two. My advice is going to be go through that educational content. You're going to understand these concepts more and more. I'm going to put in a lot of work. I've been doing this for years, and don't get, if you get mad at me at all by saying, like, I mean, the extreme version would be like, I don't have time to watch these 15-minute videos. You're going to just need to explain it to me. That'd be like on the extreme end of a response. To any kind of like snark for me saying that to a new member, I have zero patience. I'm just like, okay, I tried to explain it nicely, and yeah, I don't know. I mean, I literally am in the Discord updating, breaking down the trades. I'm taking like 25 updates a day between altcoins and bitcoins, writing threads, and so it's just like, oof, I don't know. I don't need more work. The resources are there. There's thousands of members that have gone through those this process and those resources, years and years and years of testimonies. So I know it works, and I know this is the way I can do it for all of you, but I can't do it on a one-to-one basis with new members. Wishing you luck. Mohammed says, gee, I'm lucky I'm in a short XRP as it hit the main GP. Wish me luck. I think this is the other thing that is just a reality. Everybody understands this, is that trading is stressful, right? Especially in like I said this often, you're in a constant state of risk. And when you have deep positions running, multi-hundreds of percent that you've been compounding and adding, and prices still impulsing straight up, but you've been around for a while, so you know how these things can end. You're really focused on execute what you do. The moment you make the little discrepancies in, I'm talking minutes of either not make, or even seconds in some cases, of not making a decision or making the wrong decision, it might not cost you everything, but it literally might cost you tens of thousands of dollars, or even hundreds of thousands if you think, okay, should I hedge here? Should I do this? Should I take profits? Whatever it is, you have all this risk in the market, and I'm working really hard to manage and update my own positions. I have a ton of positions running, and explain what I'm doing. That's what, and so it's like, it's stressful in a 24-hour market because you have to go to sleep. A nap can cost you 6 figures. But now it's exciting too. It's kind of the time to grind. It's the time to put in the work. But yeah, I mean, if you're a brand new trader, now is not, go through all the educational content, There's a lot of things there, you know. Start learning through osmosis, through the updates, all those things. I'm mostly focused on updating and managing what I'm doing. Someone says it's quite stressful if it is not going your way. Yeah, it's actually quite stressful when it is going your way too. I mean, if you understand, it's not stress, it's just like, it's responsibility, right? Like, you're basically committing to, when you're putting on positions and you have risk on in the market, you're giving yourself a responsibility. And if you're going to leave that risk, and part of, for me, the responsibility is to manage that position or those positions. And as more and more positions pile up, you're saying to, you could always just say, I can't take, this is what people will do, right? They say, I can't take the stress enough. Like, I just need to close this. I need to close it. And that could be, they're in a 5% winner, a 50% winner, 100% winner. And they're not closing it for any other reason than the stress of the responsibility of that position, or those unrealized profits is just eating away at them. And the reality is, as a trader, you really can't do that, right? You're making decisions not based, but that doesn't mean that you can just, it's not to say you don't care. You still have to care, and you have to take on the responsibility that I'm leaving this risk in the market. I need to be proactive about what I'm doing every day. I need to be objective about what I'm doing every day, and I cannot let I cannot get apathetic about what I'm doing, and I'm just committing to that responsibility. And so the stress isn't it's not coming from what's actually happening. It's a compounding effect, right? Which is just, it's just, I have to navigate this, and I don't know what's going to happen here. You know, am I taking profits on XRP? Am I hedging? What happens here? Okay, and if price keeps going up, I have to make decisions. I have to continue to managing, and as price goes higher and higher, you could say the euphoric stance would be, all right, I'm going on vacation, everyone. You know, we're $8 next, and I don't care because I see this big green unrealized P&L number. But that's not a very disciplined approach, right? I mean, you wake up to this, and you didn't make a plan. You didn't trail anything. You didn't keep an eye on anything. You took no responsibility for your position, and you just round-tripped massive profits relative to your account in this case, right? And if you're a new trader and I personally think if you're paper trading, if you're trading with a small account, you need to take that responsibility seriously as well, because you want to just trade well. So your goal is to trade well, and part of trading well is not closing your positions because you're stressed about the responsibility of them. So yeah, Zoeb says, happened with me yesterday. Hold the trade for 4 to 5 days in ETH at 3K, just closed due to stress, and it moons. Yeah, I mean that's just the reality. You wake up every day with responsibilities, and the thing is, part of being a good trader for me is not for example, it's like adding to my XRP position and adding to my Doge position and looking to add risk, and it's not, I still have to manage that risk, but it's like I can't just sit here and say, like, I have to make a series of reasonable decisions and seize opportunities and manage my risk. And so it's so easy just to make bad decisions, which is, for example, missing great opportunities because you're already stressed, you're kind of feeling just the pressure of the move, even when you're in profits, right? And the problem that I think, you know, when you talk about something like euphoria, people think, well, if you have all these unrealized profits, like it's not stressful, everything's working, everything's good. But then you're going into euphoria, right? Because you don't actually perceive the risk anymore. You think that your unrealized profits are realized profits, and you don't think you think, oh, everything's going to keep going higher and everything's good. It may, but you know, got to take some responsibility. Like I took profits on all my Doge longs at 42 cents. It was a big target for me. All the way from down at 9 cents, adding, that was the big, and I'm interested in adding. There's some ideas down at honestly 25 cents, which might sound a little crazy, but I'm gonna see. There's like second week in December, some kind of interesting timing confluences. Just see how things plan out. Willing to try longs into Doge. I mean, we have these grindy impulsive structures, but starting to form a little bit of a. Definitely need to be eyeing at these range lows, and there's some big ideas down at 25 cents, and then looking for that big impulsive move towards all-time highs from there. Just going to keep an eye on it. I'm not going to go over the ideas right now. I charted some of them a little bit already. And one thing too is, like, if you're not a trader, you don't understand some of these concepts. Like people will say, like, just you know, sit long and chill, spot and chill. But when you're a trader, you're also trying, like, you might have a bullish thesis on XRP or Bitcoin, and you might say, like, oh, you have a long from the bottom, just stay long and chill, like price is going up. But as a trader, you're also looking to add tightly defined risk and seize opportunities like this as well, right? Like you're looking to capitalize on the idea. And even on Bitcoin here, it's like you could have longs from lower, but you're still looking to capitalize on new opportunities, and it's just, that's your job. So you can chill, and sometimes you need to take some time off and take a break, but for me, now's not really the time to do that. And I think it's there. Yeah, there's just things. I probably am considering just like not communicating back and forth with anyone in the chat, not answering questions, just doing updates, because maybe I'm getting a little bit too annoyed at things. That, like, it's just kind of like my patience is really thin. Because it's pretty clear how much I'm working in the Discord. I mean, literally writing entire, like, huge threads on concepts and why, like, I'm structuring trades the way I am on Bitcoin and all these things, and then sharing so many charts, and then it's like, hey, do you want to go? Can you do all this work again here too now? But I know that's not how people mean it. I think I just need to stay focused on what I'm doing here and just update my my ideas in the updates channels. Bit of a channel here. I'm also getting some heat, some personal life heat for working too much. Yeah, maybe now's a good time to join the Discord if you want grinding lucky. If you want chill lucky, wait till the top is in and there's shorts running from the top of everything. We'll just be hanging out, chilling. It's no, I'm not married. I have been working a lot, to be fair. Kind of crazy hours but it's it is what it is, you know? You just gotta do what you gotta do. Just a warning to everybody. I mean, you do get comments a lot where people will say, and by the way, if you're just tuning in the Discord, I'm just waiting, right? I'm waiting, watching Bitcoin. We're gonna watch some order flow here. I mean, I could explain some more concepts. Let me answer some questions here as we're watching this. I don't. Yeah, maybe I'll answer a few questions. Maybe you focus on order flow or something. I'm not sure, but. Yeah, but people think that like, oh, you know, I've seen a few comments. I got one the other day. Like, isn't trading like you have a lot of freedom once you become a successful trader or you have a lot of capital, and you could look at it that way. I mean, you could just say like, well, if you won the lottery and you had $100 million, do you have a lot of freedom? And you can say if you want to. It just depends what you want to do, right? I mean, if you're actively trading and participating in the market and looking for opportunities and trading every single day, then you really don't have a lot of freedom if you want to do it well. If you don't want to trade and you just want to spend your money and not work, then yeah, you could choose to do what you want to do. But if you're, like, for example, you know, there's 70-year-old billionaires that are worth $10 billion and are still trading and managing funds, and they really don't have a lot of freedom because they're choosing to work. They're doing something that they are passionate about, that they love. And there's not really an easy way to do this well without putting in a lot of work. Somebody says, what do you think is the most important thing now? Do you just mean in the market? Well, if you're in a bunch of positions, it's probably, and you have a bunch of unrealized meaningful profit, it's probably not to round trip at all. I mean, that's it. It just depends where you're at. If you're brand new to trading, the most important thing is that you preserve your capital as much as possible, and you learn how to trade. That's the most important thing. And you learn what you're doing before you start putting a bunch of capital at risk, because it's not just about the technical setups. There's so many components to trading. But it just depends where you're at. There's going to be plenty of opportunities for the rest of your life. As a new trader, you need to develop skills, and that takes some work, and that takes some time, and preserve your capital. If you're a new trader and you have a shit ton of unrealized profits, and you're kind of like, oh, I don't know what happened, but I made a lot of money, probably, yeah, the most important thing is to realize some of that and protect it. Someone says, what would be called your style of trading? I trade a lot of different types of ideas, time frames. Lots of it's influenced by Elliott wave, order flow. But you know, I think somebody commented the other day, a member, that something along the lines of, you just watching how many, the level of experience and learning so much, watching how many different types of situations and market conditions that I'm navigating. So just for, I mean, yeah, so I use a lot of concepts. It just depends on the environment that I'm trading in, and I don't always get it right, but so this is just the member saying specifically this. I already understood the concepts, instant, but you dove deeper, especially into the way risk management was non-negotiable. The video where you explain how easy it is to blow up even with a profitable strategy, completely bonkers. My videos on risk management are super important. You can watch them on YouTube. Also, most traders thrive in a one setup or one strategy, as is often advised in this space. However, you have a mastery of so many different concepts, which resonated so much with me because my trading style is naturally creative rather than robotic. So you must trade only one exact setup if you want to be profitable, advice, which is very difficult for me. So anyways, I wouldn't say I have a style of trading other than it. I mean, I would say typically I'm not a breakout trader, but that's sort of the caveat is like on XRP, for example, I'm trading towards a breakout, but I'm trading these retracements into this trend line into support. It ultimately is a breakout trade because you're trading into really a significant move up to the upside. But like my trades usually aren't structured as breakouts. But even this, for example, like higher time frame ideas with lower time frame confluences, like this was a major high on the daily chart, major high. So something like this, where you have the impulse, the grinding structure, and the retest of the high, sweeping all these lows, that'd be like a low time frame breakout trade idea. That it's really is contextualized by the retracement down to support, because this is resistance. We have a big rejection from that major high. I just showed it on the daily chart. We break out. But so I would say, generally speaking, I'm a support trader and a short resistance, long support. So speaking of XRP, let's keep an eye on it here as we test this other major high. Just looks so strong. It really does just look strong. No other way to put it. Even on this local grinding bullish uptrend. We'll see what happens here. Go into some of the lower time frames. Not a lot of structure above. But you know, these environments get kind of choppy too. But for example, like let's put a fractal. I wouldn't be surprised to see a deeper move here. Let's pull this breakout fractal. You know, the lead up grinding price action into levels kind of similar. Maybe we start getting this kind of clean break, grindy price action. Come back down. Wouldn't be exactly. I mean, you can. Oftentimes these retests will front run as well, but that clean SR flip, especially with something like this, is kind of a nice little idea for a breakout trade. But so like here'd be an example of like what I would consider a mismanagement and this of long positions, and the same was when we're at 94K here, is you know there's a major high here at 94K, and you're like, okay, well that we could get a big reaction here. We could reject here. I have all these longs running from lower, and so maybe that's going to be my TP profit, my TP target. But you're sitting here, you're watching it, and instead of just waiting for any weakness, you just say, okay, my target's hit. I think we can go higher, but I need to lock in some profits. You could literally have just let price break out, ran a trailed stop underneath of it, and instead of taking profits, held your entire position for another 50% move. And maybe the same goes for here, this major high. How you manage this, because you could have just said, well, why not take profits here either, right? Same thing. We front ran. We tested it here, and this was my last ad idea for my longs. And then here, breakout, reclaim. If you're long from way lower, just trailing some of that, and you get another 100% plus off of your position. Like, it's just the stress of being in unrealized profits here can make you make dumb decisions, which is, oh, I've got to take profits. So this major high is getting hit, but there's no weakness. Price is just going straight up. Oh, I appreciate that. Retiring parents. He says his style is the most logical, probable, and risk-managed way to trade. Join and learn if you're trying to learn how to navigate the water. Like I said, I mean, I'll stand by the Discord after all these years and just the endless testimonies I've gotten from traders of all experiences, that it's a great place. It's a great place for new traders and experienced traders. I personally can't recommend it highly enough because I know how much work I put in, and you can read probably hundreds of testimonies at this point. Someone says, let's say in a couple weeks from now, off the blow off local top, and I'm longing XRP, is it better to hold my long or close before the blow off and re-long when correction is over? So if I'm longed at $1 and XRP is $34, there's so many scenarios, right? Like I'm considering taking profits here. Like it's just we don't know what's going to be happening. Like if price action just looks like this, and there's just, it's so hard to say. And this is what I would just tell you: if you don't know the answer is probably just profits. If you don't, because what's typically going to be the case is that you're going to get into a situation where you're willing to let something happen. Like I just use these kind of breakout examples where you're saying, all right, I'm going to let price break out. I'm willing to let price carry higher based on these conditions, but I'm not going to round trip everything. It's not either. So for example, you don't want to get in a situation, Daniel, where you asked Lucky a month ago what if he thinks it makes sense to hold at $3 to $4, which that's even a pretty big discrepancy, and hold and re-long on a retracement, and that's what you're basing everything off of, because I don't know what is going to be going on here. I mean, that's a lot of profits. So we go up to $4 and price action looks like this, and we tag $4 and there's no retracements, and you could even just trailed stops and nothing would have gotten stopped out. But do you close at $4 if this is happening and we just go straight to $8? Maybe not, right? That'd be an extreme example, but it kind of is what we're getting now, to be honest. But so maybe what you're doing is you're saying, well, based on what's happening here, I'm willing to round trip some profits and take partials if we start breaking down this structure, we reject, maybe I'm going to take a partial. I'm definitely going to take it no matter what if this happens. And so you're kind of sandwiching yourself in between possibilities at some point, which is willing to let price go higher under certain conditions. And if this holds and there's no weakness, why take profits? Willing to round, you don't need to take profit on the top of the impulse. If you start seeing structural signs of weakness, then you're taking profits. And if you start seeing structural signs of strength again and setups to get long, then you can always add back long. So there's not really an answer that you can give now about one thing you should do, right? And because if there was, then trading would be pretty easy. Like I could just say, yeah, what you should do is take profits at $3 to $4 and add back at $1. that could be a idea, but we got to see what's going on, right? And so yeah, it's like all this Bitcoin stuff. It's like here I'm saying, hey, I'd be interested in longs here on retracements. I also took profits on my longs from lower. I said I'm taking profits. I said, and I will add back if we start getting this choppy, grindy structure. I'll start adding aggressively into this with local setups into this uptrend. And that's what we got, and that's what I did. But that's just something you observe and see, right? And the same thing. My plan was, like, I'm not going to go into the updates because you only spend so much time going back and recapping into the Discord. But my plan was, I said, major target here when I'm long from down here is there's no structure up into this 94K. Major target for profit taking is up at the 94 cent level. But if there's no weakness, I'm just going to hold. And when price gets up there, I'll say no reason to close. There's no reason to close. It's just strength. The price is claiming the level. And so, that's not really something you can answer 3 weeks in advance, and it's an if this then that sort of scenario. Hopefully that makes sense. It's not so easy. Like now that XRP is at $1.40, and if you go back to the Discord, like this is the idea back at 70 cents, 60 cents, this strong uptrend, and I just basically said, if we break down from here, I got scammed, but it's very bullish market structure. I'm not closing my longs. There's nothing, I don't know what's going to happen here. I have the 94 cent high marked out down, when we're consolidating down at 60, 70 cents. And I'm just saying, like one thing that you might want to do here as just the kind of FOMO of the move is like, I'm going to take profits. But what I'm saying is, it's just going to be another long setup for me lower if I get stopped out of the progressed longs on this uptrend at 60, 70 cents range. 65, 80 cents. And we have the rejection, first major highs, big local reaction. And I'm saying, even on the local reaction, I'm just looking to add. I'm going to add into this trend line again. I'm going to keep adding from, lower here, here, here. And then I did the joke, I'm not selling. And I said, memes aside, I am in fact selling if I get these structures get invalidated. And I think I've covered this before, but this is just the point I want to make here, is that it looks easy in hindsight, but it's literally don't know what's going to happen. I'm letting the structure of price make the decision for me. So I'm cautious for a breakdown and sweep of the lows, but I really can't invalidate my trades with the whole thesis being a grindy uptrend. And so I showed the screenshot here at the uptrend. It said it would be no different than me invalidating my long here into this 20% pullback, my longs from lower. Instead, I'm adding into the uptrend. If it breaks, then sure, I might round trip some profits, but I have to be willing to. And just this is at 71 cents, right? So now this looks a lot better. That was our pico low into this grindy uptrend, and we went to $1.40 from 70 cents from there. I know I've gone over this before, but I just feel like there's points that just they're so important. Like, it's worth hearing again. If you've never heard it, then you got to hear it. I said I want to make things clear. I'm explaining what I am doing and why. I have no idea what the market will do. I have some ideas I want to trade towards. I'm not taking all these trades thinking I'm going to make so much money. I'm taking these trades thinking, okay, how much money am I going to lose if I round trip all of this, if I keep holding into this uptrend, if I add into this uptrend, and then I need to manage that risk. The reality is you cannot avoid risk. You need to risk a loss to get into a trade. You need to risk unrealized profits to hold the trade. you're in a constant state of risk as a trader. Your job is to manage that risk. But anyways, I said preparing to get cut by XRP again. I just want to go to, again, so I have the 94-cent level marked out as my major level, right? I'm saying, hey, this is when we're breaking out, 94 cents. We have levels up here. If we blast it, I'll look to add back somewhere after TPs. I said, if we hold this breakout, 0.94 aligns with our major GPP. Personally, not brave enough to go to sleep without limit TPs there, but I happen to be awake. And so when we came up to 94 cents, I said, as XRP nears the 94-cent level, all I will be doing is deciding whether to take profits or not. The same idea goes for ADA. This was a huge week because I'm also in these longs from lower on ADA, right? Huge week. Looking forward to taking the weekend off and shutting off my brain for a couple days. I said I will TP if we reject, updating from my phone on the weekend, otherwise holding deeper structure to the impulse. So I'm literally making this same decision process here. We didn't reject, we reclaimed that big major level at 94 cents. And so now I don't know what's going to happen. I could TP and then price just keeps going straight up. I could hedge short, price keeps going straight up, but I'm watching this major level on XRP, looking for signs of weakness. Again, looks kind of bullish coming to the level to me. A little reaction here, not enough for me to, oh, I'm closing 50% of my trade here, but got to be looking for some signs of weakness. And if I end up having to look for setups to add back higher, if we start showing signs of weakness, I take profits, just nuke here. And the fact is, I might have to trail out some profits. I mean, I've literally longs from hundreds of percent lower. But and if we just continue higher, then I can just look for new setups to add back into my position. Manage those locally. Well, you know, people are saying, there's a couple of people saying that they can't believe how few viewers I have and I should have more. But I mean, frankly, I think generally speaking, a lot of people probably don't even enjoy this. My viewer count has gone down 40% since earlier. So I think this kind of content's not for everyone. I mean, people want to hear. One of the things that you realize, I mean, obviously we know like that most people understand confirmation bias and all those things, but the thing is that people want to hear what they want to hear, how they want to hear it. So like they might ask you a question and they don't actually want your answer. They don't want to hear what you have to say. They want you to answer them with the answer they want to hear. And if you don't, then they're not interested. And so, you know, people don't like hearing all the things I have to say about all these different things. They want an answer. And, you know, like for you, Daniel, you ask this question and you might be like, okay, thank you for that answer. But somebody else might be like, I didn't ask you all this shit about it depends and, you know, maybe price is going straight up. I'm asking you, should I take profits at $4 or should I and add back at $1? Or what should I do? And that there's people that are going to have that mentality, right? And it's like, I don't have that answer for you because I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know, you know, if Bitcoin goes, should I take profits at 100K? People could ask, should I take profits at 100K and add back at 80K? It's like, well, I don't know. It depends what happens. I mean, if you don't know what to do, and you're in deep profits and priced at 100K, I guess the answer is yes. But anyway, so I run into those situations a lot where any kind of caveat or any kind of context is, because the thing about trading is it's truly probabilistic. No one knows what's going to happen. You can think you can know what's going to happen. There can be higher probability things that may or may not happen, low probability things that almost certainly won't happen. but no one knows what's going to happen. And so as a trader, you're all ultimately looking for signs that one thing might be more likely to happen. And if you start getting into 50-50 type situations, but you have some nice technical structure, or even lower than 50-50, you have nice technical structure, you can put some bets on some lower probability things that give big payoffs, right? That's the asymmetry of risk reward. Like, I think that the idea of longing aggressively into this, I think this was the higher probability idea. Like, I think, I don't even think that there's a case really. Certainly scalp shorts, certainly at just like key levels. I don't think there was really a case for shorting into a deep pullback here. But maybe, I don't know. But anyways, sometimes you're looking for the high, something like this where it's just really a high probability outcome to see this move to the upside, and structured trades around what's happening. Evaluate the context can shift often. Sometimes you misread the context, but there's no way to know. I'm a little unsurprised here that 100K is taking so long to be realized. Because I'm on a live stream, and we'll probably range here for 5 hours, and then as soon as I turn off the live stream, we'll go straight up. I think I lean towards a more impulsive move, but yeah, we'll see. Just nothing looking particularly bearish on order flow to me. I'm gonna take a look at ETH. Probably need to keep an eye on this. It's a high time frame structure up at the 886. Yeah, I mean, I think big ideas here. PLC 786, these pivot highs. 382 back at 3K. Yeah, that's one thing. Somebody said earlier today that they had longs from 3K, and then they closed them just out of the stress of holding those for 3 or 4 days, and then now price is just going straight up. I mean, you look at this consolidation at support, we're going to see it on so many charts here. Like, look at ADA here, ADA, just kind of like, it's just going to shake a lot of people out of positions right at the GP kind of region here, in both cases, actually. Always an important level to have on the chart. Impulse, GP, just shakes out probably a lot of people, and then impulses to the upside. And price doesn't really go any lower, and it's just too stressful to hold the position, and then price goes straight up. Sometimes I hate how simple just pulling, like, it's almost like you don't want to have any other confluences. Just pulling your 618 of like every local retracement is just bottom, just on every time frame. It's like there's essentially two ways to analyze the market in this environment. It's the 618 and 618 high to low and trend lines. I mean, it's literally defines the market on almost every time frame. There's the POC there as well. You know, that's the type of local setup I'm looking for. You have the context. Oh, is this just the POC? Kind of interesting that this has changed. You have the context of the big bullish divergences, and basically, if you're looking to like tightly define some setups, just looking for retracements into these trending structures. I thought that these were GP retracements as well. From last touch of trend line. Maybe they're front runs. This one was just take the last touch of the origin of the trending structure, the last touch into the trending structure. Just from the impulse low, GP, origin of impulse. Hey, if it works, don't fix it, I guess. Yeah, I use harmonics as well. There's sort of a lot of overlap with harmonic trading and Elliott wave ideas. All right, are we going to push to 100K now? I definitely say I kind of feel ready to, it's the end of the year too. Maybe it'll be a good Christmas, good New Year's. Take a couple weeks slow. Definitely want to lock in on the weekends for some R&R. There's my fib template. Everyone's saying ETH. Whiff with the trendline retest. Doge coming up to the descending structure here. Obviously bullish on Doge, high time frame, but big target. I covered it in the last live stream, won't cover it again. It was at 42 cents. Open to deeper pullbacks here into December, but we'll see what happens. Now, if we get a big impulse here, like a big short squeeze, I might just be taking some profits aggressively, and I'll be looking to add back, right? Like I might end up adding higher on Monday or what have you, but I also have to go soon. Just look for new setups, but if we get a big short squeeze impulse, like a volatile 10-15% move, I might just be taking profits aggressively into that. I mean, December's, or you could just look if December's are historically bearish, but lots of all-time highs. (2017) December. If you were there, you know. This is what we just put at the top. December is just straight down. November. Could just quickly do this. Go log scale. Get some context. If you want to just quickly see what's happening at a certain date, you pull a fib extension. Mark out your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can see what was going on in the chart. You can pull it backwards. So you pull it a year, and then you just extend it. See lots of pivots in December. Pivot highs, pivot lows, significant highs and lows. I don't have this pulled perfectly, but sorry, just checking something. But there is something to be said about this. I mean, it's just not how it's not how I like to analyze the markets, which is that way. Like, oh, because it's actually a low sample size. So believe it or not, like my opinion on Bitcoin and all charts, whether it's an altcoin or Bitcoin, is everything moves essentially the same. So you have two choices. I mean, it's not, there's the same types of things that price is always doing no matter what the asset is. And so you could take the sample size of like, oh, you know, the last 4 years or 3 out of, you know, 5 elections we did this, or the last, you know, and you have a sample size of like 2 or a sample size of 4, and that sample size is statistically irrelevant. Like you could say, well, it is true, but and so I forget what the term for this is called in probabilities. It's like but it's about the sample rate, right? So it's like if you have a coin and you don't know it's a 50-50 coin flip, and you start trying to figure out what the odds of it landing heads or tails are just based on experiment, you would flip it once and you'd say, oh, it's landed on heads 100% of the time. Like every time you flip it, it lands on heads. And then it lands on it twice and you say, oh, it's 100%. 2 times it's landed on heads, and you land on heads 3 times, you say, yeah, this has 100% chance. Every time you flip it, it lands heads. And then it would go tails and you would say, oh, only 3 out, and it would take actually a long time for you to figure out that it's just 50-50. And because the statistical relevance of a event over 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 instances is almost is non-existent. And so you have all these other things where you literally have 100 years and thousands and tens of thousands of data points that you can use to analyze the market. And I prefer to use those. And it is my opinion, based on my experience, that it is true that Bitcoin is not doing anything differently any given day, and neither is any altcoin that assets haven't done for the last 100 years. It's all just relative, right? It's relative to its own price action. It's internal to its own price action. It's all measured off of itself, and so it looks different, but it's not actually any different. Yeah. So it's just anytime, so anytime you kind of get into like, well, what's happened the last like 4 Decembers or something, it's like, it's just, there might be something that looks significant, which is like, oh, every year for the last 4 years, this has happened on this month, but it's probably an irrelevant data point, even if it's happened 100% of the time. Even statistically insignificant events can just produce that kind of data off of a low sample size. So. And I think what you can do is like, so that's why I would just say, so be careful about looking for data to just influence your decision processes that it's just not relevant, right? And you can kind of start by saying that, well, it could be relevant that December's there might be something really special about December's, and you might start to see some evidence that, well, this significant thing has happened every December or January. You start looking at the months, or every Wednesday, or but it takes, you can essentially say, but I just will not have enough of a sample size to even if there was something statistically significant, it's going to take a while for me to actually know if that's true or not. So, for all I know, it's a coin flip because I don't have enough data here. So, and you can almost just walk away from that because there's no way for you to know yet. I'm looking for a structure shift here at XRP. So we like, I'm not surprised to get a reaction at this major high. A little bit like, I don't think this volume is anything to write home about for a major high. Start looking for some signs of weakness. I mean, it's kind of like this is sort of even in bullish scenarios, something you'd end up looking at. But I mean, I've held through all of this, looking at adding into this. But I mean, this would be like, if you're looking at the 5-minute chart, this is just a nice little technical sweep retest. Like this is, if I'm scalping this is a short setup and even targeting into these lows. But as far as like a high time frame idea, maybe not. Similar to ADA here. Like I shared on last night on ADA. We had this big impulse, but you always have to be wary of these rejections, and definitely looking for let's go to it. This again was me talking about that I'm interested, I'm preparing for this long on Peanut, right? That's the long I shared at the start of the live stream. That target's hit. But so last night on ADA, so before I sign off for the night, in my view, failed breakout should be taken seriously. If price can't reclaim the breakout, for now we are holding, but still wouldn't be surprised to see a local wipeout if we reject. So like if you get this kind of price action, you reject, consolidate, back test, looking for a local wipeout. This structure here on ADA before this breakout, pretty simple, like looking at it in hindsight, right? Just this descending structure. You have consolidation at the GP, you have a breakout, you have a retest, you have an impulse. But so same thing would go here. It's just a technical structure. Is you're not surprised. This is here. You see the rejection, the retest to get a local wipeout of liquidity. And I'd be looking at something like that on XRP as a possibility. Although this just looks kind of bullish to me, frankly. Because you have, for now, you have ascending, grinding structure into resistance. Kind of everything you'd want to be holding for the bullish case here is holding. Maybe something like this might be a little bit more of a sign of weakness, but I'm not really too passionate about shorting here or doing anything yet, to be honest. So far a local reaction, and it's probably not the craziest short. Nothing tight invalidation, but it's just too bullish for now. Anything can happen. So one thing I want to explain here is ADA's obviously showing a lot of strength, Cardano, is the whole idea of holding longs into this and trying to add to longs. I know I haven't really been talking about ADA that much here, but it's just like from these updates earlier, I give a lot of updates. That's my whiff trade that I got stopped out of. So with these updates, the whole idea of adding to my whiff longs, targeting higher, that's my LTC trade I talked about earlier that didn't work. The whole idea of adding to this ADA long is there's some really bullish high time frame ideas, but understand that there's no structure above, right? So before this breakout, if we can hold a breakout here, price can just move quite quickly to this area of the chart and this area of the chart towards $1.26, $1.65, and really just looking for this sort of void in the chart to be tested. And if we can hold that breakout, some pivot highs here that are kind of relevant. I was looking at those too, but this looks probably likely $1.24. And I think all-time highs could come on Cardano too, honestly, but probably keep an eye out for more of this type of behavior for potential. Well, probably be more like this for potential ads. Just keep an eye on structure. Can I do LTC? I mean, I'd say LTC looks bullish as well. Just this grindy daily chart, rounded structure. We get this sharp pullback. I suspect it's probably going higher. It's probably worthwhile to keep some of this. I mean, this is sort of a little suspect, although this is essentially what the XRP chart looked like before its last impulse. All these lower time frame ascending structures. Even this would have been kind of a clean idea. Like, look at this, just always fascinating. Impulse, GP, impulse, GP, ascending trend line holding perfectly. You know, why do people call it an uptrend or a downtrend, a trending environment? I mean, this is just the quintessential premise of a trending market, or a quintessential example. That's why there's a reason that as much as trend lines can seem like such simple ideas, there's a reason that anyone ever talked about them at all, right? In the history of trading, is at some point someone knows, hey, sometimes price just trends off trend lines. And we're in an environment where they're incredibly powerful, especially with a little bit of fib confluence. But yeah, I mean, like things like this is like if you're watching for like a scalp ad, you take this little pivot low into the trend line, you get these nice little local setups, can lock in some profits, probably have to lock that in here into the highs, let the rest run, look for new trending structures. You're going to lose some trades, you're going to win some trades. Ideally, keep the risk managed. I did not look at Bonk. You know, I actually have to go soon. I was kind of hoping we would get this 100K test here. On live stream, but it doesn't look like it wants to come while I'm live. I mean, literally, if I just shut the live stream off, there's like an all-time high curse on these live streams. If I just shut it off, it will come instantly. If I stay live, it will range here for 5-6 more hours till the New York Open. Something to consider. Yeah, these little local liquidity sweeps might offer some scalps. Nukes a little more reason to get cautious if levels are breaking down and flipping, structure breaking, but for now not. A little bit of a downtrend or uptrend break locally here on XRP. Yeah, so if we get start seeing some structural weakness here, probably will be considering some profit taking into this and then looking to add into new setups and come Monday. This is just a situation too where I want to be like, I kind of want to slap myself a little bit. That I didn't pull this up on log scale. And the reason is I probably would have just longed into that pico bottom of the impulse with time validation. Because, I mean, it's literally the setup I took on whiff. That didn't work, but on log scale. Either way, I shouldn't have missed that. That's the idea there. This would have worked as a nice little scalp short sweep retest major level. I can even start pulling some of that risk out But yeah, I think for as far as the low time frames go here on XRP, need to be willing to take profits off of weakness from here. You have a little bit of a horizontal structure, probably like a 3% range, 3.5% range. %5. $786 down to this low. Then our higher time frame 618, or our consolidation low 618. Be a pretty quick move to the downside. See if this holds up or not. Yeah, we'll go straight up as soon as I shut off the live stream. Which case it probably will. A lot of trading is just, honestly, everybody, is about looking at what is happening and making a decision, right? And understanding how to structure trades in different environments. Managing your risk. It's one of the most dangerous things you can do, probably in any condition. People talk about changing your bias. You should change your bias. You should change your bias. Yes, you should change your bias. Like, it was important for me to change my bias. But it's not just about when we broke up out of this high. But it's not just about changing your bias. It's about structuring your trades. So your bias, what's a bias? Like a bias as a trader is essentially saying, I'm taking a trade. And a trade should be structured with a few components. One should be invalidation, one should be an entry, and one should be targets. And if you're using technical structures and you're trading something like this ascending structure, your trade is, you're not, don't have to change your bias from bearish to bullish, but if this starts happening and price isn't holding up all this ascending structure, well, maybe trading along with your thesis being we're in an ascending structure off big bullish divergences is invalidated. The idea of being long, having a long, or that we can go higher isn't invalidated, but this trade idea is invalidated. And so you just let structure decide what you're doing. For me to take profits on XRP, it's not about we can't go higher. It's about we've rejected from a major high. So now in the same case that I was willing to hold on impulse, retest, breakout, retest, now I'm just going to let price make the decision for me. Okay, we're rejecting from here. We're not impulse. We could go higher. We could go lower. But I'm just going to look at what is happening and then take trades and make my decisions based off that. We could do anything, but for right now we're rejecting. And so I need to make the decision of whether or not I'm going to take some profits. And then maybe later we have new structure up higher and I'm taking longs up here, or maybe I'm taking longs down here and invalidation here, whatever it is, right? Adding back to the position. I know I actually am not going to, I have somebody coming here and they're going to be here in 4 or 5 minutes, and so I have to go. But I know you want my views on Alice or LDO, but we've been live almost 3 hours, and leave it up to Bitcoin to get live here basically at 100K, and we just can't, we just are chopping around here. This if you go watch my old all-time high live streams, literally what happened every time. But yeah, so the whole premise of setting up a trade is just to say, I don't know what's going to happen, but if, let's just say you want to be, let's just use the Bitcoin example here. You're saying, well, I want to be long into this ascending structure. I'm going to long and validate my trade. I might even add to some of my longs. And you're not saying that price is going to go up. Price is going to go up. You're saying, if we hold this ascending structure, I'm going to put on some risk. I'm willing to put on some risk. I'm willing to manage that risk by sizing appropriately. And if we break down the ascending structure, I'm going to cut the trade. And the big fear for somebody who's not used to trading would be, but what if I stop it out and then price just goes back up and I miss the trade? Well, then you're just looking for a new trade, right? You might have several plans, maybe long, lower, maybe you're looking for new structure and you're going to try another one. But what if I get stopped out again? Well, the alternative is you sit long into something like this. It takes one trade to wipe out your entire trading account. So you're just trying to take a reasonable approach, structure trades within validation, appropriate sizing. This is looking more significant, right? This rejection, just as a local high. We have this ascending structure breaking down. We have, this is the major high on XRP that we're sweeping. So we've swept this major high. We've rejected from this major high. Probably could have been a scalp short. We've back tested it. We're breaking down now this ascending structure. Maybe get a little reaction down at these lows. Start forming another lower high. Coming into the weekend. Yeah. Probably something like that. Into this local GP. So this would be the kind of price action I'd start looking for. And this probably could have been a little short setup here. I'm really not too worried about catching these shorts, but I'm probably going to be taking profits or considering hedging on a lower high here. Have to take profits under certain conditions. If I get the clean short set up, I'll probably take it as a hedge. See how some of this structure forms. Personally, not going to short into this. Even as a scalp, it kind of gets a little questionable now. It's like your setup almost looks like this. Shorting the bottom of this local low. All right, folks. I will talk to you all later.